Hey all you lot, and welcome to another week of News You Might Have Missed. I'm your host Tom Lord, and on this show we look at a mighty mix of eclectic excerpts ranging from news outlets, blogs and tabloid rags based around the globe. On today's show we've got Starbucks China to introduce pork flavoured coffee, eye patients blind again after company decides bionic eyes are obsolete, and Danish man shoves 68 matchsticks up his nose in a world record. But first, freshly laid tracks in New Zealand are too small for the trains that they're designed for. According to the Otago Daily Times, brand new train tracks signed off by Kiwi Rail just 2 months ago are already in need of a fix after it was discovered that they've been built too narrow for the carriages that use them. According to the Greater Wellington Regional Council, approximately 16 kilometres of tracks near South Featherston have been laid 4mm too narrow. This is said to be causing wear and tear on the train carriages themselves and forcing speeds to be reduced from 100 k's to 60 k's. And it's estimated the speed restriction causes each service to be delayed by at least 6 minutes. Sad times then for Kiwi Rail, and with all this disruption to commuters, I really do hope they find a solution that gets them back on track. A woman in the Isle of Wight returns home to find her house ransacked by a badger. According to UPI, a badger broke into a home on England's Isle of Wight and caused thousands of dollars worth of damage before being rescued. Charlotte Glazer said that she arrived home from work to find that her kitchen had been ransacked and a hole had been burrowed through a pantry door. Glazer then discovered the offending badger hiding in a wastebasket that had been tipped onto its side. Police were useless, as normal, and so the offending badger was referred to the Badger Trust of the Isle of Wight. Thankfully the badger will be returned back to his normal habitat, and I for one hope the Badgers Trust smash his gaff up. See how he likes being on the phone to his insurers for 6 hours while they tell him his call is important to him, and then eventually give him £3 for a £2,000 television. Starbucks China to introduce pork flavoured coffee. According to an article by new.nl, to mark the Chinese New Year, Starbucks has introduced a pork flavoured coffee in China. The original American coffee chain describes the taste as interesting. Apparently if you want to order one of these special sounding coffees, you must ask for an abundant year savoury latte. Its name is loosely translated to a savoury taste for an exuberant year. Hang on, get your sick bags at the ready. This concoction is a mixture of stewed pork based sauce with espresso steamed milk with extra pork sauce and chunks of pork as a garnish. And for the privilege, it's €9. And in a completely untrue and completely made up statement from Costa Coffee UK, they'll soon be announcing a beans on toast flavoured coffee to remind you of being a single man, silently crying into your pillow whilst your ex leaves you on red. A drunk man is mauled to death after he scales a fence to take a selfie with a lion. According to media in India and RTL News, the man was said to have climbed over a fence to get into the wild animals enclosure. The Times of India newspaper had reported that the man had actually gone through a staff-only access door to get access to the lion. A guard allegedly tried to stop the man, but he was too quick. He jumped onto a water tank, climbed over a fence, he then jumped and fell in front of the lion. The lion then dragged him into a corner where he bit the bloke to death in about 10 minutes. It's a pretty tragic story, but some good has come out of it. This man provided much needed lion food to a hungry lion and also further removed himself from chlorinating the gene pool. A woman has done a runner from an Italian clinic after not paying for bum surgery. According to new.nl, with a bandage still on and drains in her buttocks, a 38-year-old woman ran from a clinic in Rome shortly after cosmetic treatments due to a bill of €20,000. This woman, by the sounds of it, had already planned it out pretty well. She ran straight from the clinic into a waiting getaway car, having only paid essentially the down payment of €1,000. A plastic surgeon at the clinic said, "My patients always say that buttock surgery is painful. Now that I've seen how quickly that woman fled, I think differently." This isn't even the first time she's done it. Apparently during cosmetic surgery on her lips, she disappeared after saying she had to get a bag from the car. I can't even run, never mind after serious arse surgery. But of the two people, the doctor and the patient included, I think it was the doctor who, not getting paid, really got the bum deal. Super smart, super traffic, super camera issues a €380 fine to a man scratching his head. According to RTL News, Tim Hansen, 34, scratched his head while driving on the A2 highway near Weert. That pretty common act earned him a fine of €380. Tim himself said he had no reason to hold his hand to his face like that. He's left-handed and he has a hand-free set in his car. He said, "In the photo, you can see that I'm holding my right hand up." Apparently the photos taken by these cameras must be assessed by an officer who has the qualifications. But Tim reckons that the agent was probably biased because the algorithm said he was on the phone. So be careful next time you're driving in Weert, Netherlands. If you're like me, who likes to drive whilst doing the sign of the cross and doing bumps of coke off your house keys, you could be in for a nasty fine. A plane was forced to divert after passenger sees the wing falling apart. According to CBS News, a United Airlines flight from San Francisco to Boston was diverted to Denver on Monday because of an issue with the plane's wing. A worried passenger on board captured the apparent problem on video. Jesus. Apparently the person who did the video, Kevin Clark, said that the issue became apparent just after takeoff from San Francisco. Another passenger shared this photo to Reddit. Sitting right on the wing, and the noise after reaching altitude was much louder than normal. I opened the window to see the wing looking like this. How panicked should I be? When asked to comment about this story, and of course this is completely made up, Ryanair said that this shouldn't affect any of their plane's wings, as it's already in the terms and conditions that passengers must bring their own. Intruder at a Spanish winery ruins €2.5 million of wine. According to the article by the BBC, the intruder emptied 60,000 litres of wine. According to a representative of the Cepa 21 winery, the incident happened around 3:30 in the morning, and the person who did it must have been familiar with the grounds. The representative went on to say that it was very hard to open the tanks, which include a security mechanism, without prior knowledge. He followed by saying that this intruder must have been used to opening these types of tanks and must have been familiar with this kind of machinery. I personally feel sorry for all those alcoholics out there. When I was reading this news last week, I stared deep into my phone that I was reading it on and let out a little whine. A US zoo has extracted 70 coins from a rare alligator. According to NOS, the coins were found during a routine search from the animal's enclosure, where 36-year-old Tybalt lives with other crocodilians. Crocodilians? Is that a real word? 10 alligators were also examined, but it was only in Tybalt's stomach that foreign metal objects were found. The zoo believes Tybalt swallowed them after visitors threw them into the water near the enclosure. Post-surgery x-rays confirmed that all objects have been successfully removed, and Tybalt is back where he belongs. On a different note, and not that I'm specifically jealous of an alligator, but the only things that get thrown at me are parking fines, handbags, and halves of engineering brick. Apple issues official warning to iPhone users not to put wet iPhones in rice. According to an article by Gizmodo, the company has said that the popular remedy could cause small particles of rice to damage your iPhone. This warning comes at the same time that other Apple repair experts say that it's actually quicker to leave your phone on a countertop to dry than it would be to put in rice. Instead of resorting to rice, Apple provides its users with an alternative solution. Unplug the cable. Don't plug it in again until it's completely dry. If your phone has dried out but still isn't charging, unplug the cable from the adapter, unplug it from the wall, and then connect them again. After that, you need experts. Of course, putting iPhones in rice to solve liquid damage doesn't work. Everybody knows that. I just wish that someone would have told me that putting my genitals in a deep fat fryer wouldn't cure my leprosy. A 70-year-old man needed a penis transplant after inserting batteries into his urethra. According to Varmatin, the 70-year-old's penis became necrotic after he had inserted 3 1.3cm wide button batteries into his urethra for gratification purposes. Grim. Apparently he was used to doing it, and all the times before he'd managed to get them out, but this time that hadn't worked. And unfortunately, as doctors pointed out, button batteries are corrosive, and tissue liquefaction and necrosis can occur within 2 hours. Doctors had attempted to remove the batteries using stent forceps, baskets and artery forceps. However, the patient had difficulty tolerating the procedure and it was abandoned. Another surgery finally removed the batteries, which were covered in a black-like tar material. But 10 days later, the patient's penis swelled, and they had no choice but to advise a penis transplant. Jesus Christ. What sort of a loon shoves batteries in the penis? I mean, how did it work? Did he get sort of a funnel and just pop them in? Eye patients blind again after company decides bionic eyes are obsolete. An investigation by the IEEE Spectrum said that Second Sight Medical Products, manufacturer of visual prosthetic eyes that restored partial vision to blind patients, has provided eye implants to more than 350 blind people. However, the investigation had found that the company had come close to bankruptcy and essentially left patients to fend for themselves. A A patient called Ross Dorad said, "It's a fantastic technology and a lousy company." He received one of the implants in 2019, however the next year he'd found that the company had laid off his assigned vision rehab therapist, along with most of the company's employees, including the CEO. Now this patient and other patients have to contend with obsolete technology that can't be repaired or upgraded, even though it's embedded in their bodies. They're likely going to go permanently blind with no solution. So, who'd have thought that private companies don't care about the end user? On a positive note, let's look forward to the future, where Tesla implants last 5 years, come ad supported, and force you to upgrade to the latest generation, even though it requires a lobotomy. A US man is accused of making $1.8 million from listening to his wife's work calls. According to The Guardian, US regulators have accused a man of making $1.8 million by trading on confidential information he overheard whilst his wife was on a remote call. The SEC claims that Luden, who's based in Houston, Texas, listened in on several remote calls held by his wife, who was a BP merger and acquisitions manager. The regulator said that the man went on a shopping spree of shares, buying 46,000 shares of Travel Centers of America. This was all without his wife's knowledge, and weeks before the takeover deal was announced on February the 16th, Travel Center's stock soared by nearly 71% after the deal was announced. The man then sold off all his shares, making a $1.8 million profit. The man then confessed to his wife. She then reported his dealings to her bosses at BP, who later fired her, and then she filed for divorce. Top tip then when insider trading: don't make the amount too obvious, and if your wife's the source of the information, perhaps don't tell her. 1,000-year-old Japanese Naked Man Festival ends due to population decline. The Somin Sai Festival, commonly known as the Naked Man Festival, involves hundreds of loincloth-clad men gathering at the Koseki-ji Temple in Oshu to wrestle for ownership of a bag of talismans blessed by the temple's chief priest. The festival, which dates back more than 1,000 years, is held annually on the 7th day of the Lunar New Year. But Daigo Fujinami, chief priest of the Koseki-ji Temple, announced that this year's festival was the facility's last. This decision is due to the ageing individuals involved in the festival and a shortage of successors. While efforts were made to continue the festival to the best of our abilities, in order to prevent last-minute cancellations or disruptions in the future, the decision to cancel the festival itself has been made. Naked man, naked man, naked man, naked man, naked man, naked man. It's a shame about such a historic pastime ending, and it's a shame for me in particular. Looks like I'm going to have to get my fix of loinclothed men from pictures on Wikipedia and by relentlessly playing and rewinding Conan the Barbarian. A Spanish artist is planning to marry an AI hologram based on all of her previous lovers. Look at this lunatic. This is the actual hologram she's marrying. According to Business Insider, Alicia Framis will marry her holographic partner, AI Lex, who was trained from the profile information of her previous romantic partners. The press release from this absolute nutshow says that the ceremony itself will take place in a museum in Rotterdam, Netherlands. Apparently the ceremony will feature a unique ritual for the union between a human and an avatar. And guests will be served molecular food that can be enjoyed by both humans and humanoid entities. In the words of my old granddad, what is the world coming to? I've not seen someone as sad as this since my longtime friend in high school crapped his keks, cried for his mum, and told everybody he was wearing Y fronts. A Danish man has stuck 68 matchsticks up his nose in a bid for a world record. According to UPI, Peter von Tangen Buskov, aged 39, was awarded the title for most matchsticks held in the nose when he surpassed the Guinness World Records goal of 45 matchsticks. The record holder told Guinness World Records that surprisingly it didn't hurt, and that it has fairly large nostrils and pretty stretchy skin, and apparently that helped a lot. Buskov said he chose the matchstick challenge after researching different world records he could attempt. He said he doesn't think he can currently beat his own record, but he hasn't ruled out trying again in the future. Guinness obviously gives out records willy-nilly these days. Bring me back some proper records, like stretchiest skin, heaviest train pulled with a beard, and longest nose on a living person. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment about any of the news that we've talked about this week. Also, if you've got any news that you think we might have missed, please get in contact on the email in the description. See you next time for another jam-packed news you might have missed. Stay gravy!